The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. Today, we have an awesome episode lined up for you with a familiar face from PAX 8, Libby Mcilhany. And I just said her name, just kind of wrong here, but we'll have her properly say it here. She is the Chief Product Officer at PAX 8. And she's going to be joining us to talk about some big moves that are helping MSPs take their business to the next level. From the evolution of MCP servers to the launch of the Integrations Hub, and now the potential of public storefronts. These aren't just features, they're tools to help MSPs streamline their operations, drive revenue, and deliver a world-class experience. So with that being said, let's go ahead and welcome Libby to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Hey, nice to see you. And also, those of us with difficult last names, we have to stick together. So yes, it is Mcilhany, yes. But you got so close, and I'm never going to look down my nose at that.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. I feel so much better now because, like I mentioned, I have been stressing about it all day long and just knowing I'm going to mess it up. So it's great to have
the interview.
Yeah, it's great to have someone with another difficult last name. And so thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. It seems like just yesterday we saw each other at Beyond, but it's been a couple months. And I'm sure you've been, busy since then.
Yeah, the run up to Beyond is always crazy town. And then, usually we sort of take a deep breath after Beyond and then look around ourselves and say, oh my God, these are all the things that we didn't quite get to. And then it's just kind of a mad rush. But yeah, it's been great. And Beyond itself is such a thrill. I mean, it's so exciting to be there. It's such great energy. Our partners are so involved. We get great feedback. It's just for us anyway, it's a really, really wonderful event. So even though it's stressful on the run up, the thing itself is really cool. So
yeah, it's awesome. And so let's start out with some of the most buzzworthy announcements, and that's going to be MCP servers. Yeah. And what I really want to do is just kind of break it down, real bare bones for those that are unfamiliar. What is an MCP server?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's such a new technology that I think a lot of people are asking that same question. So, there's no embarrassment here. I think everything is moving so fast. I don't know if you're having this experience, but certainly my team and I are all just racing to keep up with what's happening in the AI space. So MCP, Model Context Protocol, is an emerging standard that a company called Anthropic pushed out earlier this year. In my mind, it was in January, though they may have done some rumblings about it in Q4 of last year, but it was pretty early. It hasn't been in market very long. And really, you can think about it as kind of like a USB port in front of your systems. It's a way to enable AI systems to interact with existing other systems. Okay. And obviously, APIs are a way that we've had systems talk to each other in the past. Love APIs, huge fan of APIs. They're very structured. You have to really, it's a contract, right? So you have to really conform to that contract to get to kind of get the information that you need out of the existing system. One of the really cool things about MCP is it's a server that you can put in front of an API or in front of a data store, and you can use it to then do natural language queries into that system. So it really helps decouple you from this very structured kind of conformity that you have to talk to a system through an API. So it allows you to really engage with systems in a way where you're using just regular ways that you would ask regular questions to get regular answers out of a system that you're connecting to. So we set this up, we put this in front of many of our public APIs just for clarity, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in a minute. This is in beta for us. It's so new. We really worked hard to get this in market as quickly as we could, but as with all new technologies, there's a lot of tire kicking that you have to do to make sure you feel good about it. One of the things that we did to make sure that we were really safe and protecting ourselves and users of this MCP server is for our beta launch, we're limiting it just to get calls. So you can't actually take an action through MCP. And we did that for a bunch of different reasons. One of those is security. We want to make sure that we feel 100% comfortable before we open this up and around security. Another reason to do that is so that we don't have AI systems ham-fisting a request and accidentally ordering 10,000 seats when they meant to order 10.
Right.
And we have a way to sort of control for that and make sure that everyone feels really comfortable with it. So we really did restrict it to just those get calls for now, but our plans are absolutely to open it up to actions in the future. We just want to make sure that it's super secure and that everyone feels really comfortable with the technology as we move forward with it.
I just love it because when you think back, of course, ChatGPT really brought what AI can do to light, right? I mean, it helped us to see the realities of how we can do things in such a different way than we've ever done. And we talk about digital labor and the ability to allow us to truly be more efficient, more productive in what we do day to day. And it's great to jump out on, Copilot, Gemini, GPT, whatever the case may be, and to be able to do different things to help us, do what we do on a daily basis better.
Yeah.
But connecting it to a platform is really mind blowing because it's one thing to be able to say, hey, I want to be able to, put together an action plan over the next 6 months and be able to do A, B, C, and D. But to be able to say, okay, I want you to look into my Pax8 account. I want you to be able to take a look at data or eventually to have some actions being taken. Can we talk specifically about those type of the type of data? Because from what I read, you guys have access into like invoicing, quoting, subscriptions, and even contact information.
Totally.
So can we expand on that?
Yeah. It's cool because when we first started setting it up and playing with it, I was in pretty close contact with my team and they were sending me things on our messaging platform and, hey, this is so cool. We explored this and it was so, I think there was a little bit of skepticism when we started to do the integration because everyone was like, oh, this is so new. Like, why are we doing this? And then as soon as we rolled up our sleeves and started playing with it, we were like, holy smokes, this is so awesome. So just to go into some use cases, one of the things that you can do is do a natural language inquiry to say, and you can do this through, you can bring in any LLM that you want to. We have great documentation and wraparound enablement and support specifically for Copilot, for using Claude and for using ChatGPT. So, but you can bring whatever you want to the table, connect it into our MCP server, and then just start doing those queries. And you can query things like, what are all the subscriptions that are coming up for renewal in the next 30 days?
Yeah.
And, what is the quote what is the product that I quote that I convert most frequently? What is the product that does best for me? What are some products that I should be selling that I'm not? Where am I missing an opportunity there? And you can just ask that question. Sometimes it takes a little doing, as with all prompting, you got to kind of work yourself a little bit sometimes into getting a complete answer. And we have some great suggestions for how to do that. But it is super powerful. We were playing with it and we were able to basically build a QBR report for one of, we're obviously using partner test accounts. We have, fake data. But we went in and said, what are the conversations I should be having with my partner about their business with my client about their business with us? What are the products that I should be helping them purchase in the future? What is going well for them? What are they using more and more of? And it created a PDF document that you could take to a QBR with a client and talk to them about your business. So it was fun. It was exciting. And also I think it's really powerful.
Again, digital labor. I think that is a key word that, that we continue to look at here, leveraging these tools. This isn't about things that are fun. It is fun. It is amazing. We're geeky, so it is stuff, right? But the true value is, this isn't hype. This is truly bringing value into our businesses. And we know that, of course, the good old saying is if you could bottle time and sell it, we'd be billionaires. Well, I don't think we could ever bottle time, but we can definitely bring back some of that time. We can create time by being able to leverage these tools. And I was out on your site and I saw what the process looks like.
Mhm.
And you guys built some great documents that really outline what those steps are. And it seems pretty easy,
Yeah.
and that's what's pretty amazing about it.
Yeah. And obviously, we are geeky on this podcast. So,
Right.
I look at that and think, yeah, that's really straightforward. But we worked really closely with our enablement teams to make sure that we were kicking the tires on our documentation and is this really useful for our partners? Are they going to be able to use this? And do they have the tools they need to make this as simple and straightforward as possible? So hopefully, we did a lot of work to try to make it really helpful and effective. And hopefully that will be our partners' experience. But I will say, just going back to your point about labor, could you have done this with our existing APIs before today? Of course you could. Yes. Would it have taken you a heck of a lot more time to do this, to do all these queries, set up your connections with our APIs and do multiple queries into multiple different API endpoints and pull this data together for this QBR that we created through our MCP server integration? Yeah, absolutely. This is not information that was not available to you before. I think the exciting piece is it is so much more accessible and easy to get there without having to go through all the acrobatics of doing these integrations and having to pull in an engineer. You can do this without having to tap someone on the shoulder, which is really exciting.
Yeah, it is amazing. And, you mentioned security, and I wanted to address that a little bit, just, how security is being handled with MCP, around tokens and access control.
Yeah.
Can you give me, and we'll keep it a little bit more high level here, but can you give me a little bit more high level understanding of how security works around it?
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of let's use tried and true technologies around security. Let's not try to do something razzle dazzle. So we have OAuth for authentication, and it's super standard. We feel really confident and comfortable with it. And that integration is going to help unlock those capabilities that we've got. And you can just, do a very simple setup. Again, that documentation that we have on our site makes it very straightforward to get these pieces set up, to get those tokens that you need to move forward. And we're just using very standard, very industry accepted approaches for security here, from an authentication perspective. And then again, going back to sort of why we're taking this one step at a time in terms of what functionality we're letting folks use through MCP. Look, we have a very active kind of AI channel at PAX 8, and we're having deep conversations about how could people exploit this. What are Trojan horses? What are prompts that people can use to do nefarious things? So we're trying really hard to stay as on top of it as possible, and that's also why we're starting with just data inquiry and not those actions, right? Which I mentioned before. It is a way to kind of make sure that everyone is super comfortable as we move forward and open up more capabilities. But let's start in a place where we're gonna protect ourselves and our partners from scenarios that maybe we don't want, or potential security holes that we want to make sure that we have completely plugged before we make certain capabilities available.
Yeah, it's definitely a paradigm shift, and I think the biggest takeaway is just the ability to move from managing that data manually to letting intelligent systems essentially be an assistant for us. And that's the clear value, and it's a huge step in leveraging that digital labor. And so with that being said, I want to move on to another aspect here, the integrations hub. And so as we shift our conversation that way, I think it's a huge unlock for MSPs from an efficiency and visibility perspective. How does this represent a fundamental shift for MSPs in how they build and connect their tech stacks?
Yeah. So we've had public APIs for a while, but they were a little we maybe didn't give them the love that they needed, I'll be honest. And part of that made it hard, I think, for people to use them really effectively. But one thing that we know about our MSPs that is very, very clear is they do not want a swivel chair. They don't want to have 9,000 things open so that they can get their work done. And we wanted to make a toolkit that made it so that they could work in the systems that they want to be in. we have deep PSA integrations. We have integrations with ERP systems. We've got integrations with iPaaS systems like Zapier, Make. We've got Roost in there. We know that our partners want to use the systems that they are in every day, day in and day out. It's more efficient. It's more effective for them. And so we wanted to make sure that we had a toolkit that would enable them to be able to do that, to do those integrations really, really easily. Look, everyone is using 1,000 different kinds of software all day. I don't know about you, but I'm checking email. I've got Slack. I've got Teams. I've got it all, everything. That integration and the ability to streamline those workflows is something that is only going to pay dividends for our MSPs. Look, they're strapped. They're strapped for time. They're strapped for the right resources. We want to make it easier. And so the Integrations Hub is really a consolidated place where our MSPs can go and find out, okay, how can I make my life easier? What are these APIs that Pax8 has? What are these webhooks and these events that we can click into so that we know when a price change is going to happen, or we know when something's coming up for renewal, and we can integrate that directly into the systems that we're using today? Why not give a Teams notification to your engineers when something needs to be changed or updated? Let's make that easy. And so the Integrations Hub is really a consolidated place, not only to find out what's available, to really discover the integrations that we have already. We have 14 existing integrations. We've got a bunch knocking on the door, so we're going to be increasing that number over time. But also, how do these API works? How do we click into these events and webhooks? And how do we get this MCP server hooked up so that we can, again, make our lives easier and make all these processes that we're doing day in and day out so much more efficient and effective?
Yeah, I mean, with 14 live integrations, and you said a whole bunch more in development, and when you take a look at that, are we talking about, PSAs? Are we talking about, billing systems, cybersecurity tools? What does all that look like?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, and also those iPaaS tools too. We got folks who are using Zapier, Make, Roost, things like that, day in and day out. We want to make that easier. So we're trying to kind of cover the gamut of what are these third-party integrations that our MSP partners are using every day. We're not covering every scenario, but we're hoping to cover as many as we possibly can as we move forward. And we've got a lot today that are already really powerful. So, I think that catalog that we have of those set up trusted integrations, we feel really comfortable with them. We're excited to open them up and make it easier for our MSPs to use those tools and make that integration as seamless and easy as possible. I think this is going to open up capabilities across a bunch of different integrations for tools that we know our MSPs are using already today.
So, one question I have for you is when you take a look at, Pax8, you guys are a cloud marketplace. And so you're selling a whole slew of cloud products that MSPs are delivering to their clients. This is going up and above. Why or what led you guys to say, we want to put this in development to help MSPs, help our partners become more efficient in what their daily operations look like?
It's a great question. It's so funny. I started at Pax8 about 3.5 years ago, and I have many years under my belt. This is not my first rodeo. But one of the things that's been so stark for me in working at Pax8, and I hope this doesn't sound like truly I deeply believe what I'm about to say, which is I don't think I've ever worked at a company that was more committed to its customer success. And in this case, our customers are our MSPs. We know that if we can help our MSPs, look, it helps us. Yeah. If they're successful, we're successful. That's 100% true. There's a lot of reasons for us to do it. But fundamentally, we genuinely care about our MSPs being successful. That's why we have Academy. That's why we have so much in terms of enablement, ProServe. We're here to help. That's why we've got a world-class support team and an amazing sales team. We want our MSPs to be successful. And I think so much of what we're hoping to bring to the table is to listen to the feedback from our MSPs about what they need and what is going to make their lives easier, and then try to respond with features, solutions, capabilities, be those human-driven, be those technology-driven, that will truly, genuinely help our MSPs to make their lives easier and be more successful in their long run. When we think about it, kind of the three buckets that we're really focused on is helping our MSPs grow, helping our MSPs become more efficient, and helping our MSPs manage risk in front of them. So those are kind of the three core tenets that we use to frame how we think about bringing features to market, and how we think about, honestly, building out other capabilities with Impacts 8. So it's very much a part of our DNA. And in terms of building things above and beyond just our marketplace capabilities, we see ourselves as really wanting to be agnostic. We're agnostic about our vendors. We're agnostic about how you do business. If you want to log into our marketplace and do it through our UI, we want to make that as good of an experience as it possibly can be. If you want to go into your PSA and do all that work through your PSA, we want to make that possible too. If you want to do integrations through, I don't know, Zapier, we want to make that easy too. We just want to make it easy for our MSPs to do the work that they need to do.
That's awesome. And I've done my homework. MSPs are truly using this because from what I've seen, in what I've from my research, you're looking at over 50 million call outs a month. Am I correct on that number?
It's a lot. Yes. And you are correct on that number. Yeah. So one of the things we're excited about actually is that traditionally we have had just APIs, and we went live in June last month with webhooks. And one of the things we're excited about is traditionally our MSPs have had to pull us for information like, hey, has the price changed? 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 And now that we have these webhooks, they can stop doing that. They can make their lives easier. They can stop asking, and we will tell them when that price change happens, right? So that's another part of our integrations hub capabilities that we're building out more and more and more of those webhooks. In fact, I think we have like 3 whole areas that we've built out since the beginning of June. So we're just continuing to build out more events to make our MSPs' lives easier. So in a sense, we definitely want to see those APIs calls continue to go up, but we're excited to see webhooks maybe help manage some of those APIs calls too, so that folks can just get the information when they need it and not have to ask us all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that visibility, the speed is incredible, and it's something that MSPs are looking for. And just that tie into the MCP servers, and just that embedded integration into the integrations hub, it's just very powerful. And,
I would strongly recommend, like, if you're sitting on the fence, like, I know, honestly, my whole team was like, why are we doing this? And then as soon as we started playing with it, we were like, this is so powerful. So I want everyone else to have that realization. It is really, really powerful and cool. So I highly recommend people check it out.
Let's talk about the public storefronts now. I mean, you guys have had, of course, marketplace experience has been there, the storefronts, but what's the shift here is public storefronts. Mm-hmm. I know this was something recently launched at Beyond. Mm-hmm. And can you give us a little more information about it? Again, launched at Beyond for those that attended, but we're expecting to hear that this will be available for all partners sometime mid-month.
This month it's happening. That's exactly right. So so let me talk a little bit about storefronts and then talk a little bit about the difference between storefronts and public storefronts. So we launched our storefronts capability last year, and this is in response to feedback that we've gotten from our partners that, they're doing a lot of work that maybe they would prefer not to do. And I don't want to call it low value work because all the work is valuable. Sure. But, do we want to tie up our engineers and having them, increment or, add a couple more seats to a subscription? Like, sure, of course we want to do that because we want to, grow those subscriptions. But is that the best use of time? Maybe not. So we've had some self-service capabilities in the past, but we really wanted to make that a beautiful, easy to use experience for our partners. So we made storefronts as a way for them to create much nicer, easier to use self-service experiences for their self-serve clients. So clients can go into our storefronts product if our MSPs choose to set it up, and they can do those purchases. There's a lot of control that we put in for our MSPs, so they don't, they can open it up or close it down as much as they want. They can customize the catalog that their clients are seeing, but they can enable a lot of self-service for the self-service clients that they have today, which is super exciting. The partners who went ahead and set up a self-service storefront for their clients saw a 30% increase in revenue, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. So if you're thinking about it, maybe check it out because it really has been pretty powerful. But some feedback we got was, look, I would love to be able to showcase the products that I sell, the solutions that I have to prospects, not just self-service customers who I have already, right? So
Okay.
not just clients that I have today. And so we built out this public storefront capability. Really, it's a read-only version of the storefront that you can then make publicly available. So you can showcase, these are the solutions I've got. These are the products that I sell. These are the capabilities that we have as an MSP, and really showcase yourself. It's beautiful. It's brandable. So you can, make it in your color scheme. You can put in your logo. You can put all your language around it that you want to put. And really, it's a super easy, way to create a web presence that, again, showcases those products and solutions that you offer as an MSP. And it's really, we see it as a marketing tool for our partners to be able to, send a link to a potential client, to a prospect, and say, here's what we got, fill in the form, give us your information if you're interested in what we have to offer. You can connect that form into your existing sales workflow as an MSP, and just really use it as a way to generate leads.
I love that because, on our weekly calls, each Friday we have calls with MSPs from around the world. And of course, driving new business is always the biggest topic. Marketing is the biggest topic. And, the whole idea of each MSP trying to reinvent, recreate the wheel, there's a lot of time and energy that gets involved in doing that. And, especially making it look pretty, right? Because that's the key is, we want something that looks like our brand, that screams who we are.
Yep.
And that customization component, I think, is a critical aspect.
Yeah.
So, and at the end of the day, for an MSP to be able to, number one, you want to drive new business. That's important. But you also, you can go wide and you can go deep. You have clients, you have those that know you and trust you. And it's a matter of getting back in front of them and trying to educate them about other things that you do. How many times, have I spoken to an MSP that he said, hey, I just met with a client and, they're having me do an install of a VoIP system. And they didn't know that we sold a VoIP system. Right. So the key is getting in front of them and educating them about, everything that you do is so critical. And tools like this are great. And it's, it's exciting to see it.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we're excited about, exactly what you're saying, which is that the full scope of what our MSP partners are capable of is pretty awesome. And so we want to give them the opportunity to showcase that whole scope, right? Like, what are all the things that we're capable of doing? What are all the capabilities that we bring to the table? And this is, like you said, a really beautiful, easy way to do it. And, because it is a part of our Storefronts product, if you have already set up a storefront for your self-service customers, you can just turn around and make it available to prospects. Obviously you can hide pricing. There's ways that you can make it, so you feel comfortable with what you're communicating. But you can just turn around. It's got your existing catalog of things that you're selling today. Like, there's no, and you're using it for two purposes. You're using it for those self-service clients, and then you're also using it as a prospecting tool. And you don't have to keep those in sync. You don't have to update two separate websites every time you change something. It's a very sort of integrated and easy way to do both of those things at once.
And it truly allows them to be more proactive instead of just being reactionary.
Yep.
Because again, getting out in front of their clients, QBRs, TBRs, are so critical.
Yes.
But throughout the year beyond that, besides those, we also need to get other type of communications in front of them about things that we do. When we're sitting in front of them during those, QBRs, TBRs, we're talking about, their business and what their business outcomes are. And we can't always accomplish everything in that given time. So, if we can get some other messaging that, in their own time, they're just kind of going through, sometimes, thoughts, like when they see something, it jogs like a thought of, maybe we could do things differently in our business. And because it's all about the business outcome and what that means to the client. And, stickiness is all about what we do to help deliver that value to help them achieve their goals and objectives. And so I love this component. Any final words on on the public storefronts?
Yeah, I mean, so just building on what you're saying, in many ways you could use it as almost like a leave behind. Like, hey, I know we had that conversation yesterday in QBR about whatever it is. Take a look at our storefront. You can, see references to what I was talking about, and here's some things for you to explore. I mean, it's a way to carry on that conversation also. So I really love how you're talking about that, and I think it really is squarely in that purpose as well.
So we have talked about a ton of stuff in the last 30 minutes. We've talked about some very powerful things, between MCP server, the integrations hub, the public storefronts, and all of these things can help an MSP really grow their company, help with their overall infrastructure, manage their intelligence, and of course, as we talked with Craig recently about shifting from MSP to MIP, the managed intelligence provider. All of this stuff is there's so much synergy of what we're talking about here. And I greatly appreciate all of your time. Now, the key thing that I want to get across is if any of our listeners want to learn more and they want to take that next step, what do they do?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. And by the way, just as an aside, Craig and I spend so much time together. I'm sure you can tell because we are just in lockstep in trying to help solve these problems, like holistically, collaboratively in business. So it's cool that we're singing from the same songbook. I would say there's check out our website. If you're not currently a partner with Pax8, we have some great content, great information on our .com that can give you some insights into what we have available. If you're currently an MSP with Pax8, you can go so deep on this. We've got academy courses, we've got enablement content, we've got all kinds of goodies, and you can log into the marketplace and get all kinds of great information, videos, courses that you can take, and other documentation. So check out Integrations Hub. It's got great information in there, really rich, wonderful information. So please go in and check it out. We've got all kinds of things for you to get up to speed on. Don't be afraid. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. So hopefully it is. And if you have feedback, always let us know. We love feedback.
Love it. And I want to thank you for your time again, Libby. Greatly appreciate it. For everybody listening, again, this isn't about features. It's about future-proofing your MSP. And with that being said, everybody, thank you for being here. Until next time, we will talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.